Anthony.
So hi Cheryl, hi Anthony. Thank you so much for joining me here today on Vonvo.com. Today's date is April 6, 2013. I just wanted to go over two quick ground rules before we got our discussion started. The first is that right now this conversation is being recorded, and after the recording is completed, I'll be uploading the video to YouTube to the internet. Is that okay with both of you?
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, and then on top of that, here at Vonvo, we're all about our conversation staying both civil and valuable. So we don't want there to be any personal attacks against anyone. Are you guys fine with that ground rule?
Absolutely.
Sounds absolutely great to me.
Okay, great. So then let's get our discussion started. Would you each mind just giving a quick background of yourself for the people who are watching this discussion right now? Tell them a little bit about yourself. And Cheryl, you can go first, and then Anthony, you could go right after.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to participate in this very important discussion. I am, for a lack of a better term, the head cheerleader of Team Minnick. I'm a proud Southern woman, believes in God, family, and country, in that order. And I welcome conversations on any issue, and I'm looking forward to this.
Great. And Anthony, just a quick background on yourself and why perhaps you're so passionate about this issue.
Sure. I'm a recent Yale graduate, 2011. Grew up an Army vet and all. I am gay, as is my sister, so I also have obviously many, gay LGBT friends. So the issue is, on the one hand, about a broad issue of rights, but also something that's very personal to me, my family, and people I.
Great. So, Cheryl, would you mind just sort of giving us your overall take on this subject in general? And, it's been getting a lot of publicity lately. So can you kind of give us your overall take on this subject and, where perhaps the recent events which have taken place, and then you guys can take it from there?
Sure. My personal beliefs on marriage is that it is between a man and a woman. That being said, I think that everyone has a God-given right to happiness and a loving relationship. What I don't think the government should be involved in the business of marriage. Marriage has always been a contract, and I just think they're overreaching by involving its limitations on marriage.
Great. And Anthony, do you have anything to add on top of that? I mean,
Did you stop her?
I don't think. Cheryl, did you conclude your statement, or I don't hear anything?
Yes, I concluded my statement. I wanted to be brief and give Anthony an opportunity to make his statement. I thought we could go from there.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. I just didn't want to interrupt if you weren't finished.
Thank you.
Okay, good. So. And their domestic partnership, so would be avoid the whole conversation compromise, in large part because we've gotten to a point where the very people who would have us make a compromise have kind of basically precluded that in a lot of cases. So you have, like, for example, the recent constitutional amendment in North Carolina, which not only bans gay marriage, but also any kind of recognition. You have various amendments in a bunch of other states that have of what activism is gone. It's kind of an all or nothing game now, and essentially, I don't really think the argument can be made anymore that this isn't, that we can sort of just separate the two. That you can have marriage as it was over here, and some other term for gays over here, because the nature of the fight from both sides has made it more or less an all or nothing. So the question now of whether we're going to recognize these rights or not, and if I would put it to the opponents of gay marriage, if they want to come up with an alternate paradigm, they should actually promote that as opposed to just use that as a means of fighting the changing consensus.
Well, I can understand that.
And that was my
not that I understand that, and I respect it, but respectfully, I disagree in that a woman, but I can also be respectful of others' different point of view and respect those. So I think that it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. Right.
So the problem I have with that is, again, if this were like 2004, like I would, that would work. Where it is now, though, is that I think somewhere between 15 and 20 states actually ban any compromise in their constitution. So as it stands, like gay marriage in North Carolina or Florida or Virginia, for example, in Ohio, or any kind of gay rights, but not the gay marriage, get civil union, you would actually just have to completely either overwrite their constitution, or and I'm not really sure there's a way forward at this point that doesn't acknowledge the consensus where it is, because right now people in a that married people do.
I don't think that one group well, let me further explain why I think the government should be out of the business of marriage totally. I don't think that the government should dictate who. I mean, the guy gets involved in this it's a financial issue for the government, and I think that's where DOMA came from when Hawaii passed their laws. They didn't want the federal government. There was unfortunately a cost factor, and I don't think that we should allow one group, by virtue of the fact that they're married, to have more rights than another group, be it same-sex, 3 guys that have been friends since grade school and went to college and now they've lived together all of their lives. They're straight. Why discriminate against them also? So I hope that you can see where.
So
I hope that you can see that in and of itself, it's discriminatory against everyone, not just gay couples. Because who am I to say what relationship is going to work, what relationship is going to fizzle out? I mean, our Constitution is very, very clear. It's very succinct and it's very clear that we have God-given right. And the government is only charged with protecting those rights, not writing new ones. So I really, truly believe every single person in this country has rights that shouldn't be trampled on, no matter who you are, or what you believe in, or your religion, or any preferences. The Constitution is very clear.
Okay. Are you finished? I don't want to interrupt. Okay. Also, I don't know if it's just me, but there's a bit of an echo, so that's my fault. I apologize. No problem. Not a problem. So that's a great point. The question of why the government is involved in marriage to begin with. So part of that issue is that the Supreme Court has long ago and many times established that marriage is civil rights. Obviously everyone knows Lawrence v. Texas. I'm sorry, not Lawrence v. Texas. Loving, Virginia. But there are actually like a dozen other cases where the Supreme Court discusses the civil marriage. So whether or not one thinks that's an accurate reading of the Constitution, it is functionally so for the purpose of U.S. law as it is currently understood. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that the government actually has all kinds of reasons why it wants to encourage marriage, which is why it gives tax breaks, why it has these various other rights, many of which have nothing to do with it. Precisely because marriage performs a broad set of legal functions. Part of which is the idea of like power of attorney, the idea of someone who determines what happens to you if you're incapacitated. Part of it it has to do with the smoothness of holding property in common, or having equal rights or to government marriage. For society. Especially given how we understand society, how we understand stamps, and how housing law already applies to various rights and all things like that. in particular case, I read an article not so long ago about the issue of Mexican. So one of the things that marriage does, marriage allows you to choose your next of kin. It allows you to designate, in the absence of a will, in the absence of other legal documents, and in particular, it allows you to designate in a way that cannot be challenged in court. What happens to you, to your assets, to your children, to whatever else you're entitled to, anything happens to you. And even while you're still alive, in the case of, being able to transfer things while you're still alive and being able to extend things while you're still alive. And that's the kind of thing that cannot be contracted out precisely because it's a function of what the government chooses to recognize and allow. And the government has no obligation to allow you to do, all kinds of things, including like take your tax credit.
May I comment?
I'm sure I'm done.
Oh, okay, thanks. And I'm sorry, my video is not working. Precisely that. It's the government that it served the government for quite some time that they promoted marriage. The concept of marriage has changed radically from as less than 50 years ago. We have the concept that the government, in its support of marriage, was support of the family unit, for a stable financial and psychological basis for the family that would create a better America. And I don't think that they should have been in it then. People are quite capable on their own of good or bad behavior. And because the government sanctioned marriage, doesn't necessarily mean that there's good behavior, that they incentivize marriage by giving you a tax credit or for being married. And sometimes the tax code, as you know, didn't, there were penalties for being married at times, depending on your income. So let me pose this. You have two elderly aunts, spinsters, they've lived together their entire life, and they're in their 90s now, and one's going to die, made a great deal of money. Why can't the surviving sister have all of the rights to inherit the sister through the same type of contract of marriage? So I guess I want to determine who gets my money. And if I'm not married, and my benefits that I've paid into for a very long time, and that's the Social Security situation. But of course, the statistics on Social Security is that they were hoping a lot more people would die, and they didn't. And I just think they open it up completely. I get the government out. Take these incentives away. I think that we would do better, a lot better. Our young people today are not getting married, and we have more 20-year-olds that are having children without the benefit of marriage. If it was the government's desire to create a better environment for the country, they missed the boat. Done. I'm finished right with that one.